So we're not saying don't enjoy your food. No, enjoy the food. Find ways of enjoying this wholesome food. How you prepare that food is important. If I fry that cabbage, to the point where it's so overcooked and we're struggling to see the cabbage between all the oil, then that's a problem. Give yourself goals. When you plan, you do better. Just like you plan your kitchen and avoid bringing in the stuff that are highly tempting, you plan your exercise, you plan your water consumption, you plan your sleep.
Hello, viewers. This is Women Become Podcast. I greet you all in the name of our wonderful Savior, Jesus Christ. And today we have a hot topic. It is women and health. Yes, as women, this is our responsibility again to look after ourselves, to be healthy women. And if you are a wife, to look after your family, your children, making sure that they eat well so that they can perform. So this is an instruction that was given by God in the book of Genesis chapter 1, verse 29, where he gave us the menu of what we must eat. So today we are going to have a conversation with our beautiful guest, Ayanda Gumede, but I'm going to give her a chance to introduce herself, and then we take it from there. Thank you. Thank you and welcome, Ayanda, to Women Become Podcast. And yes, I will hand over to you so that you introduce yourself to the viewers, and then we continue with our conversation.
Okay, thank you so much, Lindiwe. Good name. AKA Mothers. Okay, so I'm Ayanda Gumede. I am a wife, I am a mother, I'm a sister, I'm a daughter, I'm a food and nutrition specialist. I basically assist people. I'm a wellness coach, help people understand food and nutrition better in a way that enables them to thrive. That's in a nutshell. Yeah.
In a nutshell. Okay. Before we continue, I'm going to ask you, tell us more about health. What is health? What is the definition of health? Before we continue with questions, let the viewers understand holistically what is this thing that is called health. Because I know that we are challenged as women, young and old. That's another journey that, every day of our lives, we must make sure also we tick the boxes. So,
Okay, so health is a state of well-being, both physical, mental, as well as social and spiritual. I know we tend to put a lot of focus on physical, which is fine, but then health as a topic or as a definition encompasses all of that. It can also be viewed as the absence of disease when we're looking at the sphere of health. Then we can go to spiritual, we can go to social, as well as mental. So I would say a balance, well-being, wellness in all these areas. Yeah.
Okay, now, so you said we are a food specialist. So as a food specialist, is health or is nutrition is part of health of what you eat. And according to Genesis 1:29, what can you say about the food that we are supposed to eat? What does it do to us? What is a let's say, if I want to eat my breakfast, if I want to eat during the day, what is the are the best options for a woman to start the day?
Okay. I like that you started off with the biblical base, and I'll just reiterate on that. You know, Genesis 1:29 says, "Behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed. To you it shall be for food." And I think that verse like explains it so nice and simply. It's not complicated. So the best diet for us is as close to nature. So wholesome foods, natural foods. When we say wholesome, we are talking about whole grains, um, legumes, nuts, seeds, fruits, and vegetables. These are the foods that help us thrive, whether it be male, female, child. The foundation of good nutrition is these foods that I have mentioned. Of course, when we talk, when we now when we break down food pyramid or a healthy plate, then we look at your carbohydrates, and your protein, and then your fruits and vegetables in terms of how you would plate it. Because you asked about breakfast, lunch, and supper. So, in the simplest way, I would say a healthy plate would incorporate a whole grain, a good protein. So, your legumes, anything from your lentils, anything from your beans, or lean protein, or fish, if that's what you're eating, and then fruits and vegetables, an abundance of that. So if half your plate can be the vegetables, and then the other half being your protein and carbohydrates with a little bit of healthy fat. And by healthy fat, we're talking avocados, nuts, and seeds. Then that's a good example of a healthy plate. And that can be easily across your 3 meals. Yeah, that's
Okay. Must we have 3 meals a day? Is it a must?
it depends. I think there's no one size fits all. Yes, as a good base, you can, especially as children growing up. If you live an active lifestyle, then by all means, then you're needing, as you wake up, that breakfast, that wholesome breakfast to give you the energy throughout the day. You're needing that lunch. You're needing that supper to help you have those balanced blood sugar levels throughout the day. However, there are different scenarios. Some people do just fine with 2 meals a day, depending on where you are in your life, how active you are, and also maybe as you grow older, maybe the needs are more for your proteins and less food than somebody who's on the ground, somebody who's more active, somebody who's at school playing different activities. So it depends on the individual, but as long as you are listening to your body, you're not starving yourself, but also you are eating the right foods, then 3 meals is good for you. But if that makes you uncomfortable, then having the 2 meals, maybe a heavy breakfast and, a heavy lunch or late afternoon lunch with a snack of fruits and veggie in between, that's still okay. Just as long as you are not causing a deficiency, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, as you are talking, I can see that this topic, it needs more time. I'm sure we're going to ask you to come back because we can't share everything now about the foods and how we must eat and when in one podcast. But before we continue, can you please share when did your journey start of 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 nutrition and health? Health and nutrition, which is the right one?
Okay. Well, in terms of food and nutrition, or health as a whole, I think having grown up in the Adventist church, with the family that I grew up in, there was a lot of push around healthful living. So the foundation was there, right? I think that interest, those seeds were planted growing up, whether it was at home with you or my grandfather, who was like very much, plant,
Plant-based, he
yeah,
was very strict.
yeah. So I think having witnessed that and living around that environment, and then having grown up in the Adventist church where, health is at the forefront of the message, I've always been interested in healthy living. But then my shift into was studying in the food and nutrition space happened particularly, I think, around 2011, when my husband and I moved to the city of Lagos, Nigeria. My background previously was in advertising, media marketing. But when we moved there, while our accommodation was being sorted out, we stayed at a hotel for about 3 months. And during that time, we were having like what you would have, the three-course meals, and you know what it is, a standard American diet or westernized, where we're having our, desserts and processed carbohydrates like your white flours, that type of food. That's what we were feasting on. And this was great. We were newlyweds, and here we are,
Enjoying
new country.
in a hotel.
We were totally enjoying it, So one day we went to go visit a flea market, and because we were told, you need to go to the market, you need to get yourself a pair of Ankara materials. So we visited a local flea market, and on our way out from the flea market, there was a guy who was selling secondhand books. And I picked up a book that stood out for me, which was the Hallelujah Acres book on healthful living. And when I picked up that book, during our stay back at the hotel, I basically read that book in like such a short space of time. And it hit home, because one of the main things that the author spoke about was about how we dig our own graves with our forks, with each meal. Because you can either heal with each meal, or you can send yourself backwards. And it really hit home, especially at a time where we were now feasting, being at the hotel. And I think that's where the change happened. I felt like the minute we leave, the minute we settle into our own space, listen, we are changing our diet. We are going full circle, and it just so happened that when we visited the local church, Victory Sanctuary Church in Lekki, the speakers that were there was the team from Hallelujah Acres. And I was like, this is no coincidence at all. They had
God is talking.
God is, I mean, if you talk about intervention, this was an intervention. How do I just pick up this book, have the time to make sure that I read it, finish, and then this first Sabbath that we go to visit a church, they are there,
waiting for you.
Exactly. I was like, wow, I have to attend. They had a 2-week health ministers training, and I just had to attend it. So, when we initially moved to Lagos, my plan was, going back to what I know, like pursuing my career in marketing and media. But then I was like, no, I need to enroll in food and nutrition. I need to know more, as I attended this health ministers training, where, the stories that they shared about how people were able to reverse disease through through what they were eating, through the lifestyles, when people started cooking at home more, eating more fruits and vegetables, the power of food, when they say food is medicine, in terms of the power that you have with each plate that you are eating. So yeah, that's where my journey then started, because then I then enrolled and I studied food and nutrition, went on to do my master's, studying, behavioral intervention on how to help children increase their fruits and vegetable consumption. And yeah, it's been an interesting journey.
Yeah, I remember, by the way, she's my daughter, and I remember very well when they came back from Lagos, they were so thin because she was eating only vegetables. And yeah, her journey started there, and up until now, she studied food science. And yeah, even at home, we were always, you know, she's always checking out what we are eating. And like she said earlier on, my father had that background. We all have that background. My father was very strict too, in what we were eating, and he used to make us eat some things that you wouldn't like, but we all carried that flag of eating healthy, and we're still journeying even today. It's not an easy journey, but we fall, we come back, we start again, because unfortunately in this life, busy life, busy lifestyle, life of convenience, it's easy to fall back. It's easy to change your lifestyle and do quick food, you know. But we know the truth that our bodies are fearfully and wonderfully made. God wants us to eat in a certain way. When you were sharing about eating in a hotel, the 3-course meal, I'm thinking about the king's table. I'm thinking about Daniel. Uh, yeah, tell us more about, if you focus on vegetables and the legumes and the seeds, and what does your body benefit? What are the benefits of eating nutritious food and following the instructions that God has given us?
Okay, so the thing about food is that it's information for our genes. So when we eat, we are communicating with our body, and there's certain foods that communicate wellness, that give us energy, and there's certain foods that slow us down. When you made reference to the King's Table versus Daniel, Daniel and his team, or the westernized diet, the highly processed foods versus our natural indigenous foods of, sorghum and, amabele, big sorghum, our beans, our biobabs, our, those are good examples versus the quick drive-by where I can just get deep fried chips and, you can, when we look at these different scenarios of a whole meal, like the food that Daniel and his Shadrach, Meshach, and that they ate, we see through even research that the body heals, cells rejuvenate, a person grows well when on a nutritious diet versus when on the King's Table or when eating highly processed foods. We see inflammation markers going up. We see genes turned on, whether it be whatever the family history is. When we eat certain foods, we trigger certain things in our bodies. With the story of Daniel and his friends, over the 2-week period when they had mostly fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds. They were smarter than the rest of the team. They didn't need to do anything radical. They just had to eat, as close to nature as possible. And that communicated with their genes, and they were able to thrive in that setting, But we know now, even with, when we look at, for example, the Global Nutrition Report or the country stats, there's a high rise in obesity, there's a high rise in diabetes, and all these lifestyle related diseases, hypertension, and so on. And that is because of our lifestyle, the food that we are eating. And I know that it's busy, there's not enough time to prepare at home and all of those things, but it's coming at a consequence, and that is our health. When you ask me the definition of health, and health is that state of being. Now, when we are no longer well, we are not able to thrive. We are not able to keep up with the demands of life. And that is the impact of eating, our highly processed foods like, our amagwinya, or our big portions of pap, or, white bread, and, the donuts, the croissants. And it's a build-up, because you asked me what would be a good plan, eating plan throughout the day. If I'm having like mdoho or white porridge for breakfast with butter, nutritionally that is very low compared to maybe a whole grain breakfast, maybe an oats, a millet with some nuts and seeds, or some berries, or our dark colored rich nutrient fruits. If we're having lunch, if for lunch I'm having a big portion of white rice with my big cut of T-bone steak and some white iceberg lettuce, compared to, kale or spinach, and maybe mealie meal, whole sorghum or brown rice, and, maybe some beans, mixing them up, be it lentils and, tofu or black beans.
And there are many kinds
There's
of
a
beans.
variety.
There's a variety.
So eating a meal like that's Daniel versus the King's Table. And then for supper, maybe I want, to drive by and get myself, hot wings with some chips, versus somebody who cooks at home, a simple stir fry with, butternut. These are two scenarios of, good meal, a good meal versus one that sets me back.
The convenience.
One. Versus one that can give me, look at the story of Daniel and his friends. They were sharper. Just in 2 weeks.
They were looking good.
And this is great because now we're seeing science, a lot of science backing this. There's a lot of research where when people change their diets, not even radically, some research studies just show with one meal, changing one of your meals in the day and making it plant-based, already, you are doing good for your body. Just by swapping that one meal. Yes, because if you compare just that one meal, if I change that white porridge with butter versus the whole some option, that's already doing so much difference.
Yeah, because what is important, we must focus on longevity versus convenience. Yeah. When you are sharing about the King's Table and Daniel, already it's ringing in my head about fasting. The beginning of the year, Christians, they go on a fast. Others, they do 21 days. Others, they do 40 days. Others, 30. Others, 10. And they fast. But what is not good is that now, after that fast, let's say fasting and praying, eating well or not eating well, now the Christians go back to the normal route, the normal way of eating after fasting. And I don't think that is helping us. Can you share more also about that? I know we're not talking fasting today, but it just came to my mind that we do these fastings during the beginning of the year, preparing for the year, but later on we go back to our normal, which is not a good normal.
Okay. Yeah, I think the fasting is good, fine, if it's going to help you to change behavior. Sometimes you need that radical shift to, evoke a certain change. So it's helping a lot of people. It's helped people. Some people have been able to
Yes.
lose weight. Some people have been able to start their health journey. But the only challenge, like you're saying, is the consistency. That after that, what do we do? Do we go back to our way of eating or change it? The trouble with the fast or the dieting, it's like the yo-yo dieting. It wreaks havoc in our bodies. It causes imbalances in our hormones, and it's not sustainable. But if we change our lifestyles as a whole, if we adopt the lifestyle of eating wholesome, nutritious food, and then find love in that, find love in the food that loves us back,
Yes.
then we don't need to come in and out of diets. Naturally, in the home, you buy more of the sweet potatoes, the butternuts, the potatoes, instead of deep frying them, you put them in the oven. That's a lifestyle. And that you can do because we all love our butternuts. We love the potatoes. It's just
And
finding
it's quick and easy.
yeah, and it's
Yeah.
finding healthier ways of preparing them. So we're not saying don't enjoy your food. No, enjoy the food. Find ways of enjoying this wholesome food. How can I enjoy brown rice? Okay, let me get basmati rice. Let me get brown basmati rice. Or let me rotate, have a variety of meals. With research showing that our guts like plant diversity. So it's good for me to have, brown rice on one day, millet on another day, butternuts, roasted butternut with cinnamon, delicious. On another day, rosemary with, rosemary potatoes grilled in healthy oils, be it your extra virgin olive oil. Those are good ways of enjoying your wholesome foods in a lifestyle. Then it's not yo-yo dieting where today I'm out, this week I'm not eating this. Next week I'm back to it. I meet you by the drive-through, and then I gain the weight back.
Yeah.
I gain all of it back. I'm tired because it's doing this to the body. But with the lifestyle approach, then you are able to maintain it over a long period, because really a health is a build-up of what we are doing in the long term versus what we do once a year.
Again, we struggle as adults, as women. We struggle with taste, and sometimes eating healthy, eating, that nutritious plate, sometimes you feel like it's boring. You'll be eating, go to the driveway and order those burgers and whatever. So now, how do we teach our young ones? How do we teach our children to love the food and not see the boring seafood as if you're eating healthy, it's boring. For you to eat nice food, you must go to the counters. So how can we prepare our children at an early age to love the food?
I think with involving them as we prepare foods at home, that process of cutting up that salad with your child, getting them to cut different shapes of that cucumber or tomato and having them taste that tomato along that way, igniting or exciting the different senses, eyes, taste, nose, smell. All of that is a good way of introducing them to healthy foods, them watching what we are eating consistently, that is like a habit. A habit is formed by what we're doing regularly, and naturally, with them being part of the daily habit of what we eat as a family, they then get used to it as well. But if they see me having more excitement for different types of food versus this one, they're going to pick up on that energy, and they also will form a different attitude towards it. And then I think that creativity in the kitchen goes a long way, experimenting with different recipes now with the likes of the internet and, access. We can, at our fingertips, just check out a different recipe for cooking broccoli, for cooking, Brussels sprouts, all these foods that some people have ruled out, whenever I present or speak to people about food, people are always ruling out Brussels sprouts or asparagus, and,
because they don't understand.
because they don't
or
understand
maybe
them.
because of the taste.
Or the taste, and yet they're so good for our bodies. So it's us being open to trying out different foods and then trying different recipes. Your lemons, your herbs, they do wonders. So when children see you, maybe you plant a herb garden and be like, let's go and pluck out some parsley to sprinkle onto our rice.
Instead of buying.
Buying, or what recipe, involving them, asking them what recipe, what should we try out? Pancakes, great. All right, let's use oat flour. Let's get some oats and grind it up in the blender and add some flaxseed in there. What is flaxseed? The child will ask. This is a good seed that's good for our brains. It's high in omega-3. So already there, while you're spending time with your child, you are educating them, because they are the future. And what they're doing consistently on an everyday basis, they continue with. It's easier that way than having to have it as an educational session. As a lifestyle, they then catch up on the habit.
Okay. There's a mistake that we do as adults of commenting about, I don't like cabbage, I don't like this, I don't like this. Children listen, and they also, like you said, they take that energy and they end up not wanting. And there's this other thing also, that let's say if I grew up in a family where we were eating cabbage a lot, or we were eating spinach a lot, and then when I'm older, I will say, I don't like cabbage anymore, because you associate cabbage as poverty, when cabbage, maybe you can tell us more, cabbage has nutrients that the body needs. Yes. So my question is, what is the importance of eating healthy in a whole family?
Okay. When you were speaking, I had different thoughts. I think the one you reminded me of a study where they found that, particularly in South Africa, beans were associated with poverty. So when people come to your house and they find you serving beans, it will be like, oh no, or and so meat is like, oh, I'm
it's
serving
the
meat
thing.
in my home.
Yeah.
Or like what you're saying, if we grew up eating cabbage, either I dislike cabbage, I don't want it once I've achieved and I've arrived, or I love cabbage and this is just what I grew up eating this and this is just what I eat. It's all belief systems, and some work for us and some are unfortunately to our demise. We have to question certain things to say, just because I grew up eating this way, is it the best thing for me? Just because I've seen things being done in a certain way, is it the best thing for me or not? So when we question those things with more knowledge, there's, awareness. And with awareness, there's change. So we have to be those advocates in our own homes where we can work with the things that help us from our childhood and then let go of the things that don't serve us. Cabbage, for example, is great. It's part of the cruciferous family of vegetables. Cruciferous are very good for us in terms of the nutrition profile. They have antioxidants, they are anti-cancer. They have good properties like I mentioned, the phytochemicals, the antioxidants, all of that are good in terms of feeding the body at cellular level. But then I might divert a bit. How you prepare that food is important. If I fry that cabbage, to the point where it's so overcooked and we're struggling to see the cabbage between all the oil, then that's a problem. I may be eating that food, but how is it serving me? So how the food is prepared is also very important, because then we want to eat the vegetables, at least some raw or steamed, with less, frying, to still, keep some of that, to keep the vitamins and minerals that are available in the different foods. And then, demystifying, breaking down any cultural beliefs or perceptions that don't serve us. We know so much about a lot of things, but do we know enough about our bodies and what we are putting in our bodies? Nowadays there's a whole shift on outward adornment, nails, hair, my bag, the clothes I'm wearing, the house I stay in. And then you open the fridge, and the fridge is unfortunately so sad. There's a whole lot of bottles, condiments. There's a whole lot of processed palonis, your cheeses, your sliced cheeses, convenience. It's a challenge for us to read more on what actually is going to help me to maintain this body, to be able to enjoy a quality of life. I don't think we can run away from illness completely because of certain, we maybe look at the COVID scenario. But at least if you try and eat healthy most of the time, you give your body that ability to fight back to whatever you may be exposed to. You give that body, it has at least a good terrain to be able to withstand, the storms. It's like building your house on the sand versus on solid rock.
Solid rock,
Yeah.
yes. While we are talking, I'm also thinking that is it a good idea for a person or a woman not closing doors for men, because there are men who cook? Is it a good idea for a woman to go for cooking classes? Because now, while we are talking and explaining, I'm thinking for children to love the food, I think you need to prepare them in a certain way. And also, I'm thinking it's important to know also the food that we are preparing, that what are the benefits of 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 let's say carrots, let's say cabbage, let's say, and also to know that in a plate, what must you cook daily? Like there's this thing, like one apple a day. It What does it do? Sends the doctor away.
Keeps the doctor away.
Keeps the doctor away. And also the 5 colors. Also, are we supposed to eat 5 colors in one plate? Or we supposed to eat the 5 colors in a day, maybe in the morning? Maybe if you can elaborate on that.
Okay, so there's the two, right? In terms of going for cooking lessons, I think that's brilliant. If you can do that, you're investing in yourself, you're investing in your family. Our homes are our first mission fields. So if I can be able to improve what I am giving in the home, if let's say I feel that I could benefit, then go for it. If you can't afford to get into a cooking class, go online. There's so many recipes. You go into YouTube, you just download different ways of preparing different foods. The nice thing about joining a cooking class, you form a community, and we know that we do better when we look at health as all-encompassing. Community plays a key role in helping us have, that push, that love. And that's what you would also get through, maybe cooking lessons. Maybe you follow on with that group. And you'll also get to learn different things. So you can maybe subscribe to a group that teaches maybe Italian cuisine or baking bread. You can choose based on your need. Maybe I need to know more about fruits and vegetables, so I go to somebody who offers me that. So just being careful. There are some cooking schools that will teach you things that you don't necessarily need. I took my kids to a cooking school not so long ago as part of their holiday program. And I mean, the things that they were teaching them, for me, it was a lesson that next time before you choose a cooking lesson for, first let's find out what will be prepared. Because while it may be a good activity for them, it's great. They had great social interaction. It was part of their school friends. They went, it was a good lesson for them, but they were taught how to make food dyes and, make icing sugar and, pie. I mean, I'm not against pies because you can have healthy pies. It's just about us changing what we know and tweaking it. We can have great drinks, but let's use the healthier ingredients, so that we can enjoy the food in a way that serves us. So doing that background check on whatever, cooking school, whatever that you choose to go to. And then the second question was about, you remind me?
It was a family.
Oh, yes.
And also cooking class.
Okay. So
the benefits of eating healthy in a family.
The benefits of eating healthy in our families are huge because they are generational. Because what we find in research is that a child who, grows up, let's say you are exposed to highly processed foods, that's what they tend to eat even in their adulthood. Then that's what we're feeding into obesity, diabetes, and so on. But when a child is given the foundations of a healthier lifestyle, they tend to carry that into their adulthood. And that means when they are adults and when they are children, when they give birth to their children then get that benefit. So diet is even beyond just me as an individual. It affects you. It affects, my children. It affects the children to come. So making that change, that's why I, even with my master's, we went into preschools and we tried to do an intervention to change and see how can we influence children to eat more vegetables, because it starts with the children. If the children can learn that from an early childhood, that vegetables are fun, vegetables are nice, vegetables are not only good for me, but I can enjoy them. I know that because of the different flavors, some can be better. Children tend to shy away from them. They want more the sweet stuff. But when we introduce them habitually, through repeat learning, through, as a group, as a family, at mealtime, away from the screen, away from the cookies, then children are more receptive. Children are like a sponge. The more we train them, the more we teach them, the more the more they can try. There are some picky eaters. There are those challenges in the homes. And I understand that. And it's not easy for the parents. They're trying their best. But then just continue. Don't give up or don't give in to say, okay, fine, here's the noodles or here's the pretzels, because that's all you can eat. Give it to them as it is. No need to hide the spinach all the time. Let them see it so that they can learn to eat it as well. Yeah.
As we are talking, I'm also thinking now about pregnancy. You were sharing about it can be, eating healthy can be generational. I remember I had a weakness of loving hot chips for a very long time in my life. But at some stage, I had to sit and ask myself, why am I challenged in this area? because I would eat healthy, but I would go back to these chips. And then I decided to ask my mom, why am I loving chips so much? I want to know what happened. Where did it start? And then she told me that when she was pregnant with me, she loved chips. Then I knew that is the problem. That's where the problem, because I struggled. I tried. It took me a long time. But after she told me, I like I vowed to myself, and I used to do this intentionally. I'm going to fight this battle of now being overcome by the love of chips. And it worked. It worked. Now, it's like when I pass where chips are smelling, I'm telling you, uh, before I wouldn't say no, but now I can say no and I'm okay. So for me, it shows that if you are intentional, if you focus, and if you know the benefits, and if you know the cause, the root cause, we can overcome. Especially these days, the information is out there. If you want to know about anything, it you can get it. So it's important to eat the right food when we are pregnant.
Yes, that's true. I don't think we realize the impact that we have when we are pregnant on, the development of the child or the baby or, in us. But truly, everything that we are doing during that time is so important. It's such a delicate time. If we understood it more as a society, we would, maybe make certain changes or just have a different behavior. Sometimes we feel that when I'm pregnant, yes, it's a sensitive time, but if the baby wants sugar, please just bring me, that sugar. Or if the baby wants McDonald's, whatever, but is it the best decision? So if we understand that we are, it's such a delicate period where the child, everything that is being done in terms of the baby's development is from what is coming from the mother, then all of a sudden we can start changing our behavior. Like you're saying, you are now more intentional. This desire for the fried chips was minimized because you had information and you had the intention and the willingness to let go, meaning that you can overcome, and when you have that, whatever it is, you just find different ways of satisfying that craving. Like potatoes are not the enemy. Grill them and then enjoy them. You don't need to eliminate potatoes from your diet. You just need to avoid the deep fried ones because those ones have negative consequences, in the long run. So it's about understanding that certain genes are being formed. A whole human is being formed based on what I'm doing, based on the food that I'm eating, my stress levels, how am I sleeping, the environment that I am in. Is it stressful? Is it abusive? All of that is affecting how this baby is developing. So once I know that, and I have 9 months, during that time,
to make sure things go
yeah,
right. Yeah.
of course we cannot be perfect.
Yes.
Mistakes will happen. You have chips on that occasion. That's absolutely fine. But on an average basis, where I can, let me try and make the changes that I can
the
do.
best.
Yeah, that's within my means. And then we rely on the grace of God because, we don't live in a perfect world. We're not always exposed to the perfect diet. But where we can, we make the changes that we need to, that will help. Yeah.
And the body responds.
And the body responds. I mean, it's amazing. The power of these bodies that we have, that it responds, even in scenarios where like we look at high inflammation levels, or there's cases of people who are maybe struggling with high glucose or diabetes for a long time. And then when they change their diet, within no time, the disease is reversed. Or if not, they're able to reduce their medication. It's amazing, when you hear these stories and you see that our bodies are designed to heal. It's like if you have a wound, you have a scratch, the body knows what to do to close it. It's the same thing internally with our diets. When we give our body these nutritious foods, it naturally wants to help us to think better, to have more energy, to go through the day, But when we are consistently eating the foods that tear away from our bodies, then as the body heals, it now must deal with the sloppy chips. As the body's trying to heal, it must deal with the chocolate, the sugar, which is inflammatory. As the body heals, it must deal with, the type of meat that I am eating, because the first meat that I find that's discounted at the shop is not the best for me. At least if I do eat meat, let me try and go for the better options, the grass-fed or I'm just saying that whatever you are doing, challenge that decision.
Do it in the best
Find
of
a
your
better way
ability.
to the best of your ability. Get wild caught, get wild caught, get organic. If you can't get organic, get local, If you can't get local, go to the farmers markets. Find a farmer
Not
around
the
you.
imported ones.
Yeah, though there are exceptions. It's better to have some than none. So if there is nothing local, then we need to then lean on the imports. We need, it's an ecosystem, so we just try to find a balance. It's good to support our local farmers. It's good to, invest locally as well, as a consumer, but yeah, just challenging what we know. Just like we go and we research what is the best. We watch makeup tutorials. Let us also watch, good recipes that help us, become our better selves. Yeah.
Okay, now we're closing now. I'm going to ask you, because of time, I'm going to ask you to share two points, giving the viewers the advice on how best can you, give them the health nuggets, maybe your slogan also, and after that, where they can find you so that they can get the coaching that you are doing as a health coach, wellness coach.
With a nutrition specialist. Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe two quick things. I think look at your food pantry, like look at your kitchen and try and avoid bringing in the stuff that you know are not good for you. Instead of buying a big packet of chips, if you must, at least get a small one. And that way you don't tempt yourself. Rome was not built in a day. So start with one area. So this week we are increasing our vegetables, our fruits and vegetables. Like earlier you asked me, is it important to have 5 a day? We should strive for at least 35 different plant foods throughout the week. That's what's been shown to be good for our gut, microbiome. So if you can make it a weekly goal. I plan my meals at the beginning of each week. And this week we are going to have these type of vegetables, And this week we're going to have these type of whole grains. This week we're having this type of, plant starches, butternut, sweet potato, whatever. This week we are rotating between animal protein and plant-based, or we are going fully plant-based. Whatever the decision, plan it. When we plan, we do better, So plan that. And then hydration, that is important. Exercise. I'm just quickly because they all complement each other. So once you've planned your meals for the week and you're trying to stay as close to wholesome foods as you can, increase your water consumption. That will help you. That will help build your energy levels. Sleep earlier. Try, work on it. If you say, okay, this week I'm increasing my average to, if your average was 6 hours, say 6.5 hours, up until you get to 7 hours, sleep 30 minutes earlier. Exercise. Say I'm starting with 15 minutes, then you move to 30 minutes. I'm going to start with a walk the next week. Give yourself goals. When you plan, you do better. Just like you plan your kitchen and avoid bringing in the stuff that are highly tempting, you plan your exercise, you plan your water consumption, you plan your sleep, you plan your community, have healthy relationships around you, because that will motivate you to do better. Have a temperance, control, self-control in all these areas. Because when we don't have self-control and we overindulge in any of the areas, be it diet, exercise, sleep, friendship, work, there's an imbalance. So just striving for that balance overall will give us a good start. But I think the main thing is that planning and that growth mindset to say, I'm not going to give up just because today I fall off the wagon, just today I decide to have a treat. It doesn't mean it's the end. Tomorrow, start again. It's a daily goal. It's a daily, intention that one makes. Then if you have that treat, fine, but come back. If I couldn't exercise, fine, I'll try tomorrow. I build up on the water. If I miss the morning, let me build up on the afternoon. It's being intentional about our health overall, spending time with God, you'll be amazed at how that also empowers you to be able to function in all your other areas. So fine, I didn't get time today. Let me intentionally plot it in for the next day. So I'm encouraging that holistic wellness, even though we know that we eat 3 times a meal. Nutrition is important, but all these other areas are also quite important. If I had to give those nuggets, even though I went over 2,
You went, but it's
I
still
went
okay.
over 2. And then, on Facebook, I'm available as Healthful Living with Ayanda Gumede. On Instagram, it's Ayanda Gumede _Healthful Living. If people want to connect with me, that's how they can connect with me. And then, I'll be posting. I think I took a bit of a break, and we will, rebuild it and connect. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm sure the viewers they are going to gain a lot. In closing, I also want to share this part. This one is a spiritual nugget, that whatever that we eat, it affects our spiritual life as Christians. Like, let's say you want to pray more, but you are eating maybe too much pap or too much sweets, too much, the things that we don't need. Our spiritual life goes down, because you won't be able to wake up. You won't be sharp mentally, even physically. So it's important that we take our health seriously, so that we also prosper spiritually, because we can't be missing out on our spiritual growth because we are lacking health-wise. So thank you so much to all the viewers. Don't forget to please subscribe, please share, please like, so that other women who need this topic can be able to get the message. So by sharing, you are helping us to send the message, because I know that health is a big challenge. I know that we all struggle. No one is perfect, and you can start anytime. Like, our bodies are created in a way that they know how to start again. Akiri, the Bible says new mercies every morning, so we can encourage ourselves like that. That if I failed yesterday, and God is giving me another day, you can start all over again. You can improve, and also the next day you improve. Even if you are not there yet, whatever that you put in, you will get out. Remember, I asked you for your slogan before you close.
Love the foods that love you back.
Yes. Thank you so much. See you on the next episode. Don't forget, please subscribe. We need your subscription. And again, one last time, we are at Scent Studios again, and they are doing the best that they can to send the message. Please like, please subscribe, please share. Thank you. Bye bye.